When answering exam questions, there are a few key things to remember, right? So just remember, exam technique is a key part in preparation for any exams, and it's something that you'll pick up the more you go and you do past papers. Right, so many questions in exams are repeats of what will be in old exams. So going and looking at lots of generic questions beforehand is a good idea. When going and answering and questions and reading them, there's a few things just take into account. Make sure you go read the question at least twice so you don't make any mistakes when you're reading them. As you're reading them, go highlight key information. Don't make assumptions about what the question is asking. Make sure after you've answered it, you go check your work for daft errors that you might make. And if it involves going and answering something where there's some calculation, make sure that you write your workings out down. Right, let's go and have a look at the question. So we are going to look at how to answer a question on potable water in this video. Right, the first thing that we need to consider is how we go and produce potable water. Remember, potable water is water that's safe to drink. Right, so there are a few different things that we need to do to water in order to do this. Right, the first part being filtration. So filtration is when water is basically filtered and the different sized parts or different insoluble parts are removed from it. Right, so that's done using large grids and sand baths and such forth. Right, the second part is sedimentation. So sedimentation is where we go and we add things like aluminium sulfate to it that goes and causes fine bits of sediment to go and clump together, right? So therefore they go and settle out into these sediment tanks. And the final part is chlorination, or doing something to it that goes and kills off the microbes. So if we look at this question, so this question is about potable water. So in the UK, right, key bit there is the drinking water is produced from sources of fresh water. Right, never presume that fresh water is safe to drink. So explain, right, remember when we go and explain things, we need to go and say what's happening and why water is produced from fresh water. Right, so some of the key things that you would have to go and talk about is start off by talking about some suitable source of fresh water, so a river or a stream or wherever. Then talk about it being filtered. Talk about the fact that the filtering is removing undissolved solids. Then you need to talk about it being sterilised, and then give some way like chlorination or treating it with UV to go and sterilise it. Right, it's also worth talking about the fact that sterilisation is going to go and kill harmful microbes. So some of the other things that they ask about when it comes to potable water is actually going and treating wastewater. Right, wastewater being water that comes from people's toilets and such forth. Right, so we start off with the wastewater and sewerage is pumped underground, generally to lifting stations where it's chemically treated and then sent for separation. So similar to going and normal water treatment. Then you get a separation process that filters out larger solids. Then it goes into primary settling basins. Right, that allows heavier materials to go and sink down to the bottom and scrape it. Right, so this is then kind of left for around 30 days, give or take. So the effluent is then pumped into bioreactors. Right, bioreactors is where we've got bacteria that is going and kind of breaking down things to biological things. Then it goes to what are called secondary clarifiers. Right, so these are just gravity fed, so the water goes and continues going through that, so that helps start to go and clear out some more of the stuff that's being broken down. And finally, because we've gone and we've treated it with bacteria in those bioreactors, so the water is chemically treated with chlorine to ensure that any free bacteria is killed off before we go and we pass it back into the water. Right, so in this question, so the wastewater will go and is treated. Right, treatment of wastewater produces two substances, so liquid effluent and solid sludge. Right, so draw one line from each. So if we've got liquid effluent, then that's going to go and be removed by, because it's liquid, it can't be removed by grit removal, it can't be removed by screening, it can't be removed by sedimentation, so we have to go and use biological treatment to go and break that down, right? And if we move in solid sewerage sludge, right, because it's solid, right, generally, and it's sludge, so it's going to be too big to go through the screening, so that's going to be removed by sedimentation. So hopefully you have found that useful. If you've got any questions, then drop it in the comments below, and we'll be uploading a lot more. Right, good luck, folks.